It's just after 7 a.m. and I'm at the bottom of the garden. I'm in the city of London, not far from Hammersmith. And the reason I mention that is I'm in a little bit of a retreat space in a beautiful garden that is literally just a stone's throw from an underground station. And it's a good place for me to reflect on the digital world. And here I am on a digital device, sitting in a garden, and the immediate thing that goes into my head, and other people might say, is if this garden is so beautiful, you can hear birds in the background, why don't you turn your phone off? And that's what I'm about to do. And just before I do it, I thought I would just share a couple of reflections. And it draws from a field that I've been working on with a colleague of mine called Graham Precy, who's worked a lot of his working life in the field of sustainability. And we started to explore a word that sounds like sustainability, which is restrainability. And that word can mean lots and lots of different things, and it's not on this video that I'm going to go into that. You can read and listen and watch elsewhere on my website and his to find out a bit more about that. But restrainability is linked to a lovely phrase that we both discovered, and it sounds like this: not this, but that. And it draws upon the idea that in a world of over consumption, a world that's becoming unsustainable, which is quite a negative phrase, but a real one, is we've got the term sustainability around that, which is really linked culturally to the idea we cannot sustain the unsustainability that we're currently engaged in, be that through toxic growth in economies to just the overuse of the energy in the world, leading to the place of climate change problems, global crisis in terms of the environment. That's just a backdrop to the lovely phrase not this but that, which, as it sounds, is essentially the idea of a much better relationship to the world where we can do this, is not to be in a place of negativity of what we're not doing, cutting down, but actually identifying things that we are doing that render what we are not doing kind of irrelevant, or at least not in our consciousness when we're doing that. And in the case of sitting in this garden, I could turn my phone off, or what I could actually do is just enjoy the garden, and pretty soon, as I have done, you just forget about your phone. And so turning it off is just simply what you might do if you're a craftsperson using electric devices to make something and you just don't need a particular thing, so you turn it off in order to use the energy of the thing that you do need. So I might turn off the drill, I might turn off a machine that's running simply to switch on something else I'm doing, might be putting some clay in the kiln. So not this but that is an affirmative thing, focusing on what you are doing rather than what you're not doing, and it's a positive energy state, and positive energy states can create motivation, well-being, and all kinds of good stuff too. And so that's exactly the case in this garden at the moment, that there is a garden to enjoy and there's breakfast to have soon. And the reason I would turn off my phone is simply to do those things and enjoy doing those things and not notice that I'm no longer or not doing something else. And I believe that part of our well-being is when we hold something digital in an on state, somehow ready, but when we're actually doing something else that doesn't require that thing to be on. Turning it off, therefore, is not a negative thing. And it can be quite a hardly noticed thing. And I notice some people absolutely do that. They simply turn their phone off and go to do what they're doing. Whereas other people go into a kind of mourning state, and I mean mourning like in a funeral, where they look at their phone and they almost procrastinate. Do I turn this off? What if a text comes through? What if I need notifications on? And what that means is throughout the breakfast there is this other thing going on that is actually interrupting the enjoyment of the food, can even affect your digestion, and certainly can interfere with conversation that you're having. And we probably know quite a lot of those notifications coming from texts that could well wait till after breakfast. But the key thing, and it takes a little bit of practice, is to simply put your mindfulness, your energy into what you are doing, rather than going to a regretful state of what you are no longer doing. Now that's difficult if you've got into the habit of multitasking and needing to have a bunch of things going on at once. And perhaps one of the easiest ways to do it, as I sit here at 7 a.m, is just to set, it could begin with just 20 minutes. You might increase it to half an hour and then an hour, and an hour's a really good time not to be in the state of my phone is off, not to be in the state of I'm got notifications off, which we get very, very used to. And you might even notice a certain agitation as you get pulled back into the not state, that I'm not doing something, the fear of missing out in some way. But to simply create an intention to really go into what you are doing, be that the conversation with somebody in front of you, the enjoyment of fully tasting your breakfast, or in my case, to walking around the garden and starting to notice things. And there's so much to notice here. And actually I had the joy of leaving my door open, and a completely strange cat came in, sat on the bed, very friendly, looked at me with that "what are you doing" kind of look. And I spent a bit of cat time, and while I was doing that, you forget that you're not doing something else, because it's not this, which was the phone, but that, which is having fun with the cat. Now, just doing that for a few times creates a new rhythm. Actually, it can be a new habit, and after a while you don't notice even this slightly negative state of I'm no longer doing something, that I've turned it off, because it is not this, it's that, and that takes over. And that can help you to enjoy your digital time much more, because the digital time can be the that rather than the not this. And then what happens is you start to feel a little bit of willpower coming back, a little bit of control. But we know that affirmative actions, that positive steps, that doing something which is very much that, can then create all kinds of energy. As writers, it can unblock writer's block. As somebody that's a bit nervous, it can take you down to a state of relaxation. Because I only have two eyes, and I can't look in two directions at once. We're not really built for that. And so this is just an encouragement here as I head towards my breakfast to play around with the idea, perhaps for a few minutes, then up to an hour, of being in a state of not this, but that. And as the that grows, the not this disappears.